So we're back already to Rant, and as the poll suggests, y'all prefer to rant, so here we are. Welcome to another video, everyone. My name is Alexa, and today, this will be about episode 16 of Disventure Camp All-Stars and my personal opinion on it, which I will mention is not too positive. Before this begins, a few things to note. First off, the background footage is owned by Animation Cartoons and not owned by me, as well this is just my personal opinion / analysis. If you have different, that is completely fine. For my videos, I do sections to maintain organization and simplicity. These sections for this video are positives, the negatives, then my overall thoughts on the episode, and then the conclusion. Alrighty, without further delay, let's get right into the video.
Level of employment.
But I could get you coffee from Crystal's espresso machine.
Beginning this section, I would be amiss to not talk about the voice acting and animation. It is on point as per usual. The animation is just wonderful, so great job to all the animators, and also great job to all the performances given by the voice actors and actresses this episode. Just great job from all of you. As well, on to Gret. Gret was amazing this episode. Everything she did was just awesome. I do have like one minor complaint, but even then you'll just be hearing that really quickly in the negative. It's not really that much, and I really think her strategic move was honestly incredible, and I don't see a lot of people agreeing with that, so I'm just gonna dive into the strategic move. In the end, I feel like Alec going gives Gret the middle position, sort of the position Ellie had in like episode 5. Gret can choose which side she wants to work with and get whoever she wants out now. She's full control over the game. She doesn't really have a target on her back, and before you say, but Allie's getting suspicious of her, what's she gonna do? Get her out? Jake's never gonna work with her to get Gret out. Connor trusts Gret now somewhat. I mean, it's proven here, so it's not like Connor's gonna work with Allie, and she needs minimum 3 votes to get her out, unless she can somehow tie it. But even then, I think Gret's really strong in terms of physical game, and especially social game, and mentally, to where she could win a tiebreaker. So in the end, Allie's efforts are useless, but if she somehow succeeds, I'm gonna be so mad. But in the end, she can, again, choose who she wants to work with. And say Alec did stay, she also knows about the Rhea and Alec Funnel 2 thing from Aiden, and shockingly, I think it actually sort of influenced this game move to get Alec out. Because in her mind, Rhea and Alec are a Final 2. If she stuck with the villains alliance till the very end, she would be done for. And or she kind of views Alec as a huge game threat too, because he did create the Villains Alliance, and even though he's been moping around for the past 3 episodes, apologizing to Connor for like 15,000 times at this point, he still can have a huge strategic threat. So in my opinion, that was a great strategic move. I do not understand the hate she gets for it, but we'll be discussing more about that hate in the negative section, because some of y'all need to chill with the hate. We'll just say that much before we get to that. Moving on though from Gret, we're going on to Connor. I think Connor and Jake had a good dynamic this episode and were cool whenever they talked. I like their one interaction. That's really all I can say. We're gonna get more into them in the negatives. Which, speaking of, let's get right into that.
Level of employment.
But I could get you coffee from Crystal's espresso machine.
Going on to the negatives, I will be beginning with the challenge. The challenge this episode was fine. I think it was cool. I liked the zipline part and I liked going up the cliff. Now, this is in the negatives. So why is it, in my opinion? The puzzle segment. First off, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which is around 15% of the entire episode, excluding Patreons, is literally them struggling with a puzzle, which I will admit is kind of funny, but when you think about it for more than a second, it kind of doesn't make sense in character. For instance, Alec, how on earth did he not win this challenge? Shouldn't he, of all the characters here, know how to do a 12-piece puzzle? Didn't he carry in like the season 1 episode 7? Again, it's been a hot minute since I rewatched season 1, so maybe I'm remembering wrong there, but I feel like him, out of literally everyone here, should at least be semi-decent, as well as Rhea. How do you not know how to build a 12-piece puzzle? I'm betting that Rhea would have had to do at least one acting gig where one of the scenes would have to have a puzzle, and I'm guessing it'd be bigger than a 12-piece one, so how can you solve a 12-piece one? Connor, I guess it's fine. It's Connor, he's oblivious, so that's fine. Gret, it's still, I cannot. And also, since this challenge is also partially responsible for Jake and Allie fighting half the time, I am salty towards it because I despise the Allie and Jake rivalry to a new high. Speaking of Allie, I'm gonna start with her because I hate her the most this episode, and I feel like if I let my Allie thoughts out, I can move on to the more positive things the less hated things a lot easier here. Allie is a character I used to really like this season because I thought the idea of turning her haters into her biggest insecurity was a really interesting concept. And I even think that the villain arc was an interesting concept. Like, when she gets over all the haters, she thinks, yeah, I should go down this path. Which, yeah, I think that's a cool idea. However, I'd say the issue is the pacing, execution, and inconsistency that all bundles up together to just make it not work. Since I discussed Allie in a rant in the previous episode analysis here, I'm going to be just going over points I haven't really fully discussed, which is her only motivation being her hating Jake. When the other girls did it, like say Ellie and Rhea, they did it not only for strategic, but they also had other motivations behind what they were doing. It wasn't just, I hate Jake. Like Ellie, for example, who I consider most similar to Allie here. She did it because she swore strategically. And even though she hates Jake, that wasn't the main motivation for pretty much every single one of her actions. But when it comes to Allie, she literally states she does not care about the $3 million now. As long as Jake goes first, boo-hoo, screw $3 million. Yippee, Jake's out. Like, what? This is a competition in the end for $3 million. I can't. It makes her just seem like a Jake hater and therefore making her unlikable. I'm not sure the direction I'd really want to take with Allie. My personal guess, though, is they want to make her like a rootable, somewhat rootable, morally gray character, kind of like Ellie in season 1, but they're ultimately failing because, again, she's so annoying. She literally just goes over to Jake to be like, ha ha, I managed to get a bag and you did it. Literally going over to gloat. At that point, she deserved getting blocked by Jake. I swear, I hate them fighting. And since basically all she did this episode is fight with him, it's just so ugh. Then we have her dynamic with Gret, which I thought was interesting, but now she just wants to suss her out and cause a rivalry, which I do admit is a smart strategic move until you think about it for more than 5 seconds and you realize that she can't overthrow Gret. It's impossible right now. Unless plot bends over backwards to somehow make Gret's position worse, it's like she's fine. Gret is in the perfect position. Allie can't ruin it, so try as she might, but even then, it's just so annoying. Allie's entire episode is annoying and it's just not working for me. Though there is more reasons, I'd recommend you check out my episode 15 analysis because I don't want to repeat too many things from there. Overall, screw you, Allie, and get voted off. You do not deserve Final 5. Moving on to Alec. Alec, for the past 3 episodes, has just been, wow. I kind of wish it was more subtly developed into, instead of just like, yep, he's fully emotional now, and all he's gonna do now is apologize to Connor. Because even this episode, all he does is apologize to Connor 24/7. And if this was the plan for later in the season, part of me wishes they focused a lot more on the Connor and Alec friendship earlier in the season, rather than just making it like 3 interactions to where Alec is like, yep, I'm going to write 10,000 apology letters. I'm going to write everything. I'm going to bend over backwards. I am going to apologize to this man no matter what I do. It's just insane to me that that's all he does. And the Alla and Rhea duo went down the drain. Oh my gosh. Because I do think the two did care for each other. I'm going to talk about Alla and Rhea more when we get to, well, Rhea herself. But it's like, I do think there was a lot of potential there that was wasted. Even if you don't want to make them canon, they can still be friends and still have a ton of potential there. I don't understand. And especially when Alex like, yeah, you were right to stick with Rhea. Didn't she just try to kiss you without your permission? And you're just like, yep, Connor, you should keep chasing after her. I run away when everything gets... Like, obviously, I do understand where he's coming from somewhat, but like, why are you telling him that after you literally just... When Rhea was just that... I don't understand. I also wish that Alec had more focus for literally half the season. Because from memory, again, it's been a second since I've rewatched Disventure Camp All-Stars, but from like episode 5 to like episode 13, he barely got any focus. And even then, he was more of a strategic guy, and he wasn't emotionally... Which you can still have this emotional arc. I'm not saying you can't, but my point is, keep some of that strategy in mind, because at this point, he's lost all that strategy. He doesn't have that anymore. And even though he's still to be idled out about to actually get eliminated, it's still like, I wish they put more focus on the strategy, and I wish he had more focus. Oh my gosh, I don't understand why he was eliminated specifically this episode, when I feel like they rushed an entire emotional arc in like 3 episodes, and you gave him like 16 episodes. There is no excuse in my mind when you have 16 episodes to rush something. You know what I mean? When you have that much time, it's like, you can do it in time. It's just, Moving on to Rhea. Rhea is someone I wanted to put in the positives because Rhea carried episode 14 and has carried a few episodes in the past. But this episode, she was just not it. I mean, I personally thought she was just gonna flirt with Alec, but I guess at this point, she's left people to die. Maybe I should have expected her to go this far. But even then, I just found her extremely annoying this episode. Like, where did her caring about how she smelled come from? She literally has not cared for the past how many episodes? She has not cared. And then at the very ending scene, which I do think is sort of interesting, where she goes and runs up to the perfume, she's just, I like seeing her more sympathetic side, but at this point I feel like it's too little too late. I think what they're trying to do, again, I think, I could be so wrong here, is they're trying to set up a redemption arc for her. And if that's the case, why haven't they spent the entire season doing that? Half the time Rhea is this villain. She doesn't show an expression. She doesn't show that she's sympathetic. Why can't we have every episode at least like one expression to show the sympathetic side is still there, instead of making it like, all right, this episode she'll have her sympathetic side, this one she'll care, oh nope, this episode she'll be a villain, this episode should be a one-dimensional just flat villain, this one is that what she'll do, oh this one she'll be annoying. It's like, please make it somewhat consistent throughout. And I understand Rhea is meant to be a more complex character. I'm trying to understand her character better, but in the end, I wish they showed that more. You can just show and don't tell, and I think it still works, but we don't really get to see it all that much. If we got to see it more, I would think it would be easier to see her complexities, it would make her a better character, but in the end, it just is inconsistent in a sense sometimes with how Rhea is in the episodes. It's like, roll a dice, which Rhea are you gonna get? Is it gonna be a mixture? Like, which? Moving on to Jake. I hate the Allie and Jake rivalry so much, and since Jake's in that rivalry, I just do not like him in it. I think it's petty, I think it's stupid, and basically all this episode, even though, the Jake and Connor interactions were really cool, I like that, I think it's a cool duo, he spent half of his time fighting Allie, so it's unenjoyable to me because of that. No matter who's in the right or wrong right now, it just makes both of these characters extremely annoying to me. It makes me not want to root for either of them regardless, and I just hope that later episodes will be able to make this rivalry into something I want to watch instead of something really annoying, because I feel like a lot of the fandom agrees with the fact that this rivalry is just so darn annoying from what I've seen anyway. Again, I'm only on YouTube. I don't see the fandom on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, whatever else. Otherwise, I think he was fine. I mean, the only reason he's really in the negatives is I do not like the Connor and Rhea interactions at all. I feel like it's just too toxic at this point, and maybe deep down it could grow, but Rhea has not even admitted her faults yet, so I feel like it's a long way. Plus, I'm not a fan of the age gap. Look, if you can move past that and you think it's fine, wonderful for you. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean I can, alright? That's just my personal take. If you disagree, that is completely fine, y'all. But moving on to Gret, the only thing I really have to say about her negative-wise is I kind of wish, as much as I really like the weight loss arc they're finally getting into, I really wish it started somewhat earlier, because they're doing it over the span of just a few episodes. I kind of wish if it started from the beginning with Yall, or maybe giving her something more to do, because I feel like with Gret, she didn't have much to do in the pre-merge due to the fact she was always stuck with Yall the entire time. Maybe the weight loss arc separates her from that and adds on to that, as well as making it more prominent on later episodes too. Like, you can still keep that in. I think it would be an interesting overarching plot for the season. That's just my take though, personally. And I think the thing is, with a lot of these takes you're seeing here when it comes to the negatives, is the rushed arcs, the pacing, the execution at times. I think that's the 3 that we're really diving into here when it comes to this rant. Now we're going to be moving on to my overall thoughts on the episode.
Level of employment.
But I could get you coffee from Crystal's espresso machine.
When it comes to this episode, I don't hate it. I just personally dislike it for the reasons that's mentioned, whether that be Allie, whatever Alec is now. I think it's been replaced with Alex, but regardless. Rhea, this episode was just not it. The Jake being a part of the Allie rivalry was just not it. I will admit, I really liked Gret. I thought Connor was fine, and the Trevor and Emily stuff was amazing. Though I didn't really mention it much in the positives because I didn't really see that much of a need to. It was great, and I hope to see more scenes with them. them as well as Nina. So the production plot's finally getting interesting. Thank you so much for that. But in the end, I am sort of worried for the future episodes because I'm worried they'll be this quality. I'm not sure if I don't think it's gonna be episode 14 bad because that's a hard bad to reach. But in the end, I'm really hoping that the weekly release schedule doesn't hurt the episode's quality, which it seems to be doing right now. That's just my personal take. Maybe they were made far in advance and I'm just wrong. But with this, my overall thoughts on the episode out of the way, let's move on to the conclusion.
Level of employment.
But I could get you coffee from Crystal's espresso machine.
This read was a lot shorter than the last time. There's not as much here to talk about the episode. As well, I do think I got my opinions across pretty well here. Now, what are your opinions on the episode? I would love to hear in the comments down below. And quick thing, none of this is meant to be hate towards Automation cartoons. Again, this is just my personal take. I do think they're doing an awesome job with Disventure Camp, and I can't wait to see what's next. Again, just my personal opinion. But in the end, thank you so much for watching and your support on the channel. It truly means the world, and I hope to see you again on the channel. Bye, everybody!